There's so many of these in the same cabinet. I just literally went halfway through shooting a video and come to find out the one I was talking about it wasn't this amp. It was a 10 pill. So stop, reboot, and start over. This is one of the Mr. Black collection that we're selling for the family. This is one of his most favorite amps that he owned, because that's the way it worked. There's this phenomenon that takes place when you build stuff. And there, you know, I've tried to study the poop out of this, and there's really no rhyme, there's no reason to it. This really became pronounced to me when I was doing 2 pills. My wife and I, we were taking and building 2 pills for all kinds of places. I mean, you've probably got one, because we built like 1,000 of them. We're building them with no name attached to them and then sending them out of here, and the truck stops or the, you know, CB shops or whatever were putting their own logos on them. But the phenomenon I'm talking about is we would literally build 10 2 pills, and we'd lay them all out here on the bench. We get them all completed. We have 10 2 pills sitting in a row. And your first 2 pill, hitting it with 100 watts, let's say, would produce 400 watts. The next one would be 410, then the next one would be 380, and then you move on to the next one and it'd be 405, and then you'd have one that would produce like 490 watts, and then you'd have another one that would produce like 380 and then 400, and there's no rhyme and reason to it. It's just the way it is. I mean, we're talking the wires all exactly the same length, same gauge, all assembled the same way with the same components inside. Everything is measured to within 1%. I mean, everything was spot on. And we saw this phenomenon repeat itself over and over and over and over again. And you'd have one of them that was a hot box. It was just, it had a lot of giddy up and go to it. I mean, a lot of giddy up and go to it. So this box started out being, this had a blue label on it at one point, I think. I don't know, a lot of boxes ago. Oh yeah, it's got Allen heads in it. Well, let's get the right driver for it. Let's get this thing here. This box is what they call a hot box. He loved this box. I mean, this is what was in his truck. Please note, he had the ability to run anything from like a 64 pill on down, and this is what he chose to run on a daily operation. This thing. Well, what size driver is it, driver? Is it one of these? Yes, sir. He chose to run this. This is what was in the truck when I got it. And it just runs like as smooth as a Swiss watch. Let's open this up and let's take a look inside. It's one of them deals is going through it, it's taking me down memory lane. No, it's weird because as you go along, you'll have one box that's just a little bit hotter than the others. Frank had a couple of those that were created over here that just ran really, really good. This is a X-Force cabinet that I completely reworked, and this is, God, this is a long time ago that we did this. I mean, it's got a matching set of Toshiba 2879s in it, 5H on the final section, and 8H 2290s in the driver. So it's 2, driving 8, no variable, okay? This is a low drive, like 30 watt radio, variable power needed drive amp. And we even had to put an attenuator in here because this thing was so hot and making so much power, we were afraid it was going to blow up. As in, it just, everything is firing on all cylinders in here. The board's in really good, excellent condition. The amp, of course, is in excellent condition because, well, he took meticulous care of everything he owned. Meticulous. So, let me flip this around and let me get it over here a little bit closer to us and we'll take a look on the inside. 5H Toshibas. Let's go ahead and release this a little bit. We'll go ahead and we'll zoom on out here. It's got all the right parts in all the right places. Old school build. Got all the power wire upgrades to it. 5 watt resistors throughout. It does have an updated remote plug. Uses 4-pin microphone jacks. This is set up to run an external set of meters, like a bird meter set. So it allows you to have an external voltage hookup, so you can see what's going on inside the amp. Not at the power plug, not at the alternator, not at the batteries, but what's going on in here. This box has never seen anything higher than 15 volts worth of power, ever. Standard 4-pin. Pin 1 is hot. Let's see, make sure I tell you this right. Let me look at this real close so I don't end up shooting myself in the dingus. Let's see here. Pin 1 is ground. Where's the white wire go? Oh, it goes all the way around the front. Okay, pin 1 is ground, pin 2 is hot, pin 3 is on this jack over here in the corner. And this is ground, and this is the hot lead. So pin 1 is shield or otherwise ground, and pin 2 is the hot lead for the meter. And it was designed to work with a set of triple beams. Triple beams? What do you mean, BBI? Let me show you. This is what I mean by triple beams. This was the set of meters out of his truck. This is a voltmeter here, and then is reflected in his forward power, and it's got a peak kit on it, and it's got LEDs in the lights. This is the second or the third one of these I ever built. This is the first set that I ever built for anybody else other than myself. So we're talking like 7-8 years ago that we put this together. Like I said, I bought his entire truck, and this was what was in it. Was this amp, this set of meters, all that kind of stuff. So this is part of the truck purchase, but the amp, on the other hand, that's a different story. It's just a different story. But that's what I mean by a meter setup. He could look down and very quickly, with just a blink of an eye, see where he was at with voltage. When we put the truck together, we set it up so it had, well, this exact unit. It had a MechMan variable voltage. You can sit here and dial your voltage up. And it goes way up. It goes like to 18, 19 volts. They don't make these anymore, by the way. They had too many guys that were overdoing it, burning up the alternators, freaking out because they just don't make those anymore. But he used his to dial it up to 15, like 15.1, 15.2, and just leave it. But he could quickly use those meters in this setup as a reference. I'm going to leave these plugs in here unless you guys want me to go and change it back to a standard jack, which I can totally do. Somebody has to say something, whoever ends up buying this thing. So let's go ahead and let's put the tin back on it now that you know the inside of this thing is basically pristine. And let's hook it up and let's see what it makes for power. Okay, so we're going to start here. We've got a 1,000 watt slug and peak, 1,000 in average, and a 5 watt slug reading forward going into the Bird 10,000 watt dummy load. We're going to use the RCI 2950 bench radio, and we're going to set our dead key at 2 watts. So the dead key at 2 watts going into this 2x8 gets us just about 100 out. It's dying to go off the scale. I'm telling you, this thing is, it's a good little box, even with the attenuator in it. It's a good little box. Let's go over here. Let's take a quick look at the spectrum analyzer. That's the radio. That's the amp. Squeaky clean on its power. Squeaky clean on its power. So let's bring it back out here where everybody can see what's going on. Turn the amp on. Audio. Just burying it off the scale. Let's go ahead, we'll turn that up to 2x. Burying it off the scale again. We're on 15 volts. We're hitting this with about, well, not about. Let's show you what we're hitting it with. We're back down on a 1x. About 25 watts worth of power. Back up to 2x. Putting about that much into it, 25 watts of power going in. Damn near off the scale. So let's go up to 5x. So now we're reading that bottom, bottom scale, no, middle scale, pardon me. Reading the middle scale, adding 2 zeros on this meter. So the 10's 1,000, 20 is 2,000. 1, 2, 1, 2. Seeing 22 to 2,300 peak out of it, period. This thing runs really, 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 really good. 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Audio. Pulling 161 amps over here on the amp meter. It runs like runs and runs and runs. Okay, let's run a different kind of test now. The last one was with the plain Jane, everybody uses straight out of the box radio. Now we're going to hook up a comp radio. We're going to hook up a D-Rail Cobra 29. The bench D-Rail Cobra 29, by the way. And we're going to hit it. And let's see what happens here. So first, let's set our dead key. Set it right at about 2 watts, just where we had the other radio. Audio. Same amount of peak, same amount of numbers. So we'll go ahead and we'll go down to 5x. So we're in the exact same scale margin that we were in before. And remember how it did about 600 bird on this middle needle? Check this out. Same amount of peak, but now this average number right here, this bird average number is huge. We're pegging it in the corner. So let's go ahead, we'll put the 1,000-watt slug out. And we'll grab this, the 5,000 water. We'll throw it in that hole. And let's see what we're getting out of it for average, which is going to be a lot. 13, 14 and change. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So let's go up here and look at the input reflect. That's a 5-watt slug between the D-Rail 29. Works perfectly. Let's go over here and look at the spectrum analyzer. That's the amplifier. Here's the radio. So it is capable of making a ton of average power. Like we've said in many, many videos before and proven this over and over and over again. Your bird watts are totally dictated by your radio. Your radio is what determines how much bird power you're going to get out of an amp. Peak power stays relatively the same though. The bench 29 does a little bit less than the 2950 as far as peak watts go, and that's the difference in the peak power of like maybe 30 or 40 watts shown on this meter. This thing is a pristine rebuild. Pristine. So that's that. This is the first piece of the Mr. Black collection that we're going to get rid of. It's got blue backlit fans in it. And this thing has run for years and years and years. And it's pristinely mint and clean on the inside. And it just gets with it. And it has for a long, long time. Like I said, I'm not selling this for me. I'm selling all this stuff for the family. So, I mean, it is what it is. We're expecting to see 2,100 out of this. And that's because of the transistors at $200 a pop. So, you all know the drill at this point. First one to call, first one to text, gets it. And it's got to go to a new home. Bottom line. So, I just... there's a couple pieces in this collection that I wish I could keep myself, but I have no need for them. I guess would be the best way to put it. This and the 10 pill and the 24 pill are my most cherished things out of this deal. I mean, straight up, this box runs really good. So is the 10 pill and the 24 pill. They're coming up. They'll be out in a week or so. But for now, this thing needs to go find a new home. And I don't care where it goes, but it cannot stay here. First one to call, first one to text gets it. Gentlemen, I say thank you all. On to the next one, and we'll see you. Bye-bye.